Okay, so today we're going to be talking about a book called Makada, and it's based. Okay, so Makada is by Randall Robinson, and it's basically about a grandmother and her grandson. The grandmother is blind, but she dreams in color, and the grandson is basically the only one in the family who actually understands her, like understands where she's coming from, and doesn't think that she's kind of crazy or whatever. And so at the beginning of the book, the grandmother, apparently she's dreaming, and she's dreaming in color. So she sees like the blue sky, and all this other stuff. And then at some point we figured out that she is dreaming, and her grandson comes in and is like, "Hey, what's up?" Because he just got from school or whatever, and he went to her house. And then they talk a little bit about like what she saw in her dream. And he goes back home and tells a little bit of what she told him to his parents. And they're like, "Oh wow," they just don't really understand it, because like I said, he's the only one who really understands his grandmother. And at first I was kind of thinking that this was gonna be maybe a good book, but as I kept reading it, no, I really dislike this book. And maybe that's just because like right now I'm 13, and maybe when I get older I will be able to like, it will make more sense to me. Maybe as I get older, the book will make more sense to me. But right now, it just really doesn't. It's kind of confusing. Like they do a whole bunch of skipping around. Like at the beginning of the book, the grandmother was in her dream, and we don't know that she's actually in a dream until like the last few sentences on the page. And that happens a good amount of the time. Like she'll go into a dream or come out with at first without like you really knowing it, and then you'll be back in reality for a second, and you not know that you'll be back in reality. Like that whole thing is way too much for me. Also, I can't relate to it like at all. Like there's nothing in the book that I would be able to relate to. Like it's nothing. There's no type of teenage drama that we go through, no type of school drama that we go through, friend drama. Like there's nothing that I would think people my age would be able to relate to in this book. And this is partly because like the grandson, his name is Gray, by the way. The story is like it starts out like when he's like 8 or 7 ish, around that age. And then we skip through the whole part of his life, like skip over the whole part of life that is like his teenage years and whatnot. And then we go into like maybe his late teenage years, like he's about to go into college or just after college years, like somewhere around that time. And so it's also like it has, at some point it kind of seems like it's mentioning like some irrelevant things. Like for instance, him and his brother at some point are walking down the street, and he's actually thinking about the Dogon because his grandmother mentioned something about that because she saw in her dream or whatever. And so his brother, little brother, is like, "Hey, let's go sit at this restaurant," da da da, and they have like a short little conversation about that. But I don't know really where that came from, and I figured out like that was like probably representing like the sit-in movement or whatever, but I have no idea how that relates to what the story is actually supposed to be about. And then also it just takes so much energy and capacity to read. Like you gotta work through the whole switching and everything. Like I can't, on top of like the work or the other homework that I have to do, and what my parents want me to do and what I want to do, reading this book just takes too much out of me. And then like I like to read books like later in the day, like maybe not to help me go to sleep, but in that way, like read before I go to bed or while I'm in bed, or like just have something like other than watching TV to do. And this book, it's not like a type of book that you would want to read close to that time. Actually, it would makes me want to just go ahead and watch TV or something instead of reading it. Like it takes up way too much capacity. But if you want to read this book, you can get it on Amazon. You can see if it's at your library or at Barnes and Noble. And you can tell me if you're like around my age, and you can tell me if you agree that it's like not a good book or like not a good young adult book, or a book that you think our age would read. And if you're older, like in college or something like that, you can tell me in the comments if it actually, as you get older, you actually like the book. Like if I have to wait to get older to see if I and read it again to see if I actually think that this is a good book. But yeah.